Have you ever wondered about how big, powerful, intelligent, and fierce gorillas can be? Well, wonder no more, because today's video counts down 10 of the most iconic King Kong impersonators ever to walk the earth. That's right, we're looking at the greatest of the great apes and the impact they had on their environments and humans. By the end, you'll certainly have much more respect and appreciation for these magnificent creatures. So, without further ado, let's get right into it with our first entry. 10. Jabari. We start with a primate who probably set gorilla public relations back a few decades after doing what we fear the most from these animals. The 18th of March 2004 will forever be a dark date for the Dallas Zoo. This is because that's the day Jabari, a 13-year-old gorilla in the zoo's Wilds of Africa exhibit, escaped his enclosure and went on a rage-fueled rampage. How the 300-pound male ape got out from an enclosure with 16-foot concave walls remains a mystery more than 20 years later. Zoo staff from back then or since have never come up with a theory other than he scaled the wall, which seems highly improbable. As for the why, it is believed that Jabari had been teased and taunted by a group of kids a short while before the 5 p.m. attack. Jabari managed to injure 2 kids and 2 women with his limbs and fearsome canine teeth. One of the children, 3-year-old Rivers Noah, suffered multiple bites to the chest and head, while his mother sustained leg bites and was flung across a concrete floor by the massive animal. After nearly an hour of evading the tranq-wielding zoo staff, Jabari ran into the police and tried to charge them. This time, his targets had guns and managed to kill him before he could hurt anyone else. Luckily, no one died, and all victims recovered from their physical injuries in time. The psychological scarring may have been harder to shake though. 9. Gorilla King, Titus. Next up, we have a royal primate who was a natural in front of the camera and lived an epic tale of a life. No, not King Kong. Titus, the real Gorilla King. Titus was a silverback mountain gorilla who was born, raised, and went on to rule in Rwanda's Virunga Mountains. At 4 years old, Titus's young world was spun upside down when his father was brutally gunned down by poachers. Despite the posturing and campaigning of a troop blackback male called Beats Me, the troop disbanded and left the 2 males in a weird bachelor group. Left alone, the 2 males would occasionally indulge in homosexual behavior. After 8 years of this, Beats Me, who had matured into a prime silverback, managed to attract a few females to form a true troop alongside the still black-backed Titus. However, Titus would soon betray his longtime friend by mating with females in secret and slowly gathering the strength and support to take over the troop. By 1992, an 18-year-old Titus was head honcho above the elderly Beats Me. In his prime, this glorious animal was 400 pounds of lean, no-nonsense muscle. Titus's reign was among the longest and most fruitful of any silverback on record. He fathered at least 20 gorillas and established the largest wild gorilla troop ever documented. However, Titus's reign would eventually end in 2009, following an infection-related illness that resulted from a dominance clash with his own silverback son Rano. Titus lives on through his many offspring and grandchildren, as well as PBS Nature's acclaimed Titus, the Gorilla King documentary, 8 Colo. So far, we've seen that gorillas can embody pure animal rage and royalty, but did you know that gorillas are also pretty good at longevity? And few gorillas have ever done longevity better than Colo, a female western gorilla who lived to the incredible age of 60. Colo was the first gorilla on record to celebrate a diamond jubilee, in addition to being the first gorilla ever born in captivity. This beautiful girl was born on December 22, 1956, at Ohio's Columbus Zoo. She lived there all her life and went on to be a mother to 3 offspring, a grandmother to 16, a great-grandmother to 12, and a great-great-grandmother to 3 by the time of her death. She died in her sleep in January 2017. 7. Guy the Gorilla. Pardon the on-nose pun, but we just have to say it. Guy was one heck of a guy and one of the smartest apes of all time. No one really knows when Guy was born, but it was sometime in 1946. The London Zoo, his residence for all but one of his years in life, officially chose May 30th as his official birthday. Guy was captured in the French Cameroons for the Paris Zoo, but a series of swaps resulted in him landing at the London Zoo. He arrived there on the 5th of November 1947, which is Guy Fawkes Night in the UK. However, the most outstanding thing about Guy was his elegance and gentleness, despite his hulking physique. The 520-pound silverback was frequently seen handling small birds and accepting sweets from visitors with all the gentleness in the world. This King Kong-like awareness and gentle nature often saw the gorilla featured in a bunch of kids' TV shows and documentaries. Unfortunately, the sweets and treats caught up to Guy before his time. On the 8th of June 1978, he died of a heart attack at the age of 32. 6. Binti Jua. While we usually focus on gorillas behaving aggressively, most of their actual lives are spent relaxing and nurturing bodies and bonds. Females are the core of this familial love, and our next entry is a shining example. On August 16, 1996, a female lowland gorilla called Binti Jua showed her rapid response and nursing skills when a young boy fell into her enclosure at Brookfield Zoo. The 3-year-old boy broke his hand and sustained a nasty gash on his face. The 8-year-old Binti immediately approached the boy to investigate, much to the horror of everyone watching. Already a mother herself, the gorilla gently picked up the boy and cradled him as if he were her own offspring. When zoo staff finally opened the enclosure, Binti understandingly placed him on the ground with just as much care. The boy recovered and is probably a man with his own family by now. As for Binti, she's still keeping a lookout in Brookfield. 5. Michael. For social animals like gorillas, communication is key. For Michael in particular, sharing his thoughts was everything. Born in Cameroon in 1973, Michael was orphaned as a baby, and his human handlers were convinced he was trying to tell them the tale using signs and grunts. The consistency of the patterns led to the decision to relocate him to Stanford. This is where he met Koko, the icon of gorilla sign language. By the time he died in 2000, he had mastered over 600 signs in American Sign Language and painted many vibrant works that just emphasized his boundless expressiveness. 4. Ivan Ivan was a male lowland gorilla born in the jungles of Zaire, now known as the Democratic Republic of Congo, in 1962. Captured and relocated to the States as a babe, he was raised by a human family until he got too big. His owners moved him out to a public display at a Tacoma, Washington shopping center. Ivan spent 27 years in a 14-foot by 14-foot prison as a token attraction, until animal welfare groups rallied to move him to more humane conditions. After a short stint at Seattle's Woodland Park Zoo, Ivan was moved again to his permanent home at Atlanta Zoo, where he lived happily and peacefully until his death in 2012, aged 50. 3. Snowflake. This next guy was so famous, he even inspired a The Rock movie. We are of course talking about the one-of-a-kind albino gorilla Snowflake. Snowflake was born in Spanish Guinea in 1964 and was captured 2 years later. The rest of the pale young male's troop was killed in the process, and a series of deals saw Snowflake making his way to Barcelona for closer study. It turns out Snowflake had an ultra-rare condition among western lowland gorillas, non-syndromic oculocutaneous albinism. Genetic research showed his parents had been uncle and niece, and they had both passed on recessive mutations that made Snowflake, well, Snowflake. To say Snowflake was a huge star in Barcelona is a criminal understatement. Everyone wanted a bit of him. The mayor, the media, the man on the street. The Barcelona Zoo was obviously quite eager to pass on his unique features and paired Snowflake with 3 females in his life. All in all, he had 22 offspring, but all of them were normal colored. It's going to take a lot of calculating to find a way to get a male and female with the recessive albinism gene together without forcing incest. As for Snowflake himself, he died after a battle with skin cancer in 2003. The skin cancer has since been described as almost certainly linked to the albinism, which also affected his eyesight. This raises ethical questions about intentionally trying to breed albinos. Snowflake was between 38 and 40 years old when he was euthanized. 2. Harambe Harambe is without a doubt the biggest gorilla headline maker of the 2 decades. social media, memes, music, documentaries, and your TV. Harambe was everywhere after his controversial rise and fall. On the 28th of May, a 3-year-old boy fell into a gorilla enclosure and was quickly grabbed by the violent arms of Harambe. Harambe then dragged the terrified toddler along the floor and moat of his enclosure before he was eventually gunned down by zoo staff. Controversy over the necessity of the shooting was rife. Why didn't the zoo use tranks first before bullets? Couldn't they just wound him instead of killing him? Well, most primatologists and zoo staff agreed that tranquilizers would have required time to kick in, time the boy might not have had. Additionally, giving a 440-pound silverback gorilla a flesh wound would do nothing but infuriate him and endanger the boy's life further. Harambe was 17 years old when he died and quickly went on to be one of the most celebrated animals ever and a true internet icon. 1. Koko. Finally, we have the original sign language master. Koko, whose full name was Hanabiko, was a western lowland female who lived at the Gorilla Foundation Preserve in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Koko showed her extraordinary intelligence in several ways during her 46 years of life. Chief among this was language and communication. Her instructors said she had an active vocabulary of more than 1,000 signs of gorilla sign language, which meant she was on par with a 3-year-old human. She also understood 2,000 English words and instructions. Koko's intelligence earned her worldwide fame and a spot on the cover of National Geographic in 1978 and 1985. This A-list status also meant that she often got to hang out with A-list icons like Leonardo DiCaprio, Robin Williams, and Sting. Koko also developed a close bond with a kitten she named All Ball in sign language, indicating that she may have understood the concept of rhyme. Unfortunately, All Ball got run over by a car in 1984, leading to Koko mourning his loss. Koko went on to have a series of pet cats for the rest of her life. Koko also sparked controversy due to her apparent fixation with human nipples. Upon meeting new people, Koko would sign her desire to see their nipples. 3 female staff members took offense to this and sued the Gorilla Foundation for pressuring them to flash Koko. The matter was settled out of court. Koko died in her sleep on June 19, 2018. She was a pop culture icon, a friend, and even a teacher who helped train 2 males, Michael and Ndume, to use sign language. That brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and please let us know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to help us grow and keep delivering awesome animal content. Also, ding the notification bell to keep up with new uploads. Thanks again, and see you next time.